The Biden administration facing growing pressure over the new influx of migrants here at the southern border. In La Jolla, Texas, I'm Alex Hogan. I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, the coronavirus is affecting the way four-staters celebrate the holidays, but it isn't ruining the good times. That could be seen at a drive-through Easter event in Lamar, Missouri. And a couple from Nevada is working with four-state artists as they grow their homemade journal business. Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Danny Terzer is on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks as always for tuning in. More than 171,000 migrants were stopped by the U.S. Border Patrol in the month of March. That's the highest number since 2000, and some critics are calling the situation at the southern border a humanitarian crisis. Fox News' Alex Hogan is at the Texas border with the latest.
The White House facing growing pressure over a surge at the southern border. Hundreds of families with children have been making the dangerous journey. Fox News obtained this photo of two little girls from Ecuador who were dropped over the wall by smugglers and left alone. The 3- and 5-year-old girls are now safe. Their mother lives in New York. More than 18,000 unaccompanied kids are currently in U.S. custody. In 80% of those cases, the child has a family member in the U.S. CBP estimates that 184,000 children could arrive by the end of 2021, which would be a record. Critics say the Biden administration is taking a humanitarian approach, which has created an opportunity for smugglers.
Incentivizes people pushing their children across the border unaccompanied, so you have a massive number, a record-breaking number of unaccompanied children. You have huge numbers of families, and all of this because they have just announced that they wouldn't send anybody home.
The White House says the current situation is decades in the making, attributing the influx of migrants to a crisis in Central America. Vice President Kamala Harris was tapped to lead the administration's response. This includes renewing diplomatic talks with Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. It's a similar role to one Biden once served as VP when he paid a visit to Central America in 2014. New centers are being set up to house migrants crossing the border. The Pentagon just approved HHS's request to house some of these migrants at Camp Roberts in Southern California. In La Jolla, Texas, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
One person is dead and another is in critical condition after a crash in Joplin. The wreck occurred Friday just before 5 on the 2800 block of South Range Line. Officials with the Joplin Police Department say the crash involved a passenger car and a motorcycle. The driver of the motorcycle was transported to a local hospital but later died from their injuries. The driver of the car was also taken to a local hospital and is listed in critical condition. The JPD Major Crash Team is investigating the incident. All right, let's switch gears and let's switch over to Nick Kelly for a little talk about weather. Nick.
It's not a bad day overall, Mike. It's a cool start in the mid-40s, but we managed to warm up to 72, back above what is considered average around this time of the year, which is 66 at Joplin Regional. Again, I don't have much to tell you here. We just enjoyed quiet skies all day long. We've been seeing that all evening long. But for tomorrow, a weak wave passing through Texas might give us just a few random clouds. That should be about it. I'm watching a stronger system to our northwest that will affect us by the middle of the week, but that will not be an issue for your Easter Sunday. We're mostly sunny to start the morning out, and then maybe partly to mostly sunny during the afternoon, but temperatures look great, Mike. 50 to start, 67 by noon. We'll have highs here 73. We'll break down when to expect better rain chances on the way here in just a bit.
All right, no complaints from me. Thanks so much, Nick. Instead of a traditional Easter egg hunt, the Lamar Elks Lodge hosted a drive-through Easter egg giveaway today. Families and cars showed up to Lamar City Park to collect their bags of eggs filled with money, candy, and toys, which the local Girl Scout troop helped decorate. The Elks Lodge says having a drive-through instead of an actual egg hunt this year was all about keeping families in the area safe while still providing a fun Easter experience.
Normally we do the Easter egg hunt where, everybody, it's a free-for-all, and there's usually a ton of people in a very close proximity, and we just thought this would be the best option this year.
More than 100 four-state families drove through the park to safely celebrate Easter this year. One small business from Nevada called Little House Journals came out to the Joplin Empire Market today to sell their hand-sewn journals, sketchbooks, and other items. Cody Martin and her husband started making journals and cards as a hobby. Then they started selling them, and their business has been growing ever since. So much so that they started to work with other local 4-state artists.
We've got some other artists we're starting to collaborate with to bring in some other designs. So we're really passionate about supporting creatives in any way that we can to help them get their work out there too. And we didn't see that coming. It's just kind of bloomed in this business.
The name Little House Journals comes from their own little house that they live in and work out of. The couple says living in a smaller home is what makes this business possible. It's now time for us to honor one of our many 4-state heroes. Tonight, we recognize Lee Schertzer of Hallowell, Kansas. Lee served as a corporal in the U.S. Army and he fought in Vietnam. He earned 4 Bronze Stars and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your service and your bravery. For more information on all our 4-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, the famous cherry blossom trees in our nation's capital are once again putting on a show, and fans are in luck because the Washington, D.C. Cherry Blossom Festival is making a return. Details are coming up right after weather.
After seeing a pretty good Friday yesterday, we kept the nice weather rolling throughout our Saturday from sunrise at the start of our time lapse of indigo sky all the way until about sunset right there, which occurred at least not that long ago. It's nice, though, that we're finally into the months of the year where we're starting to see the daylight hours extend well beyond at least 7 or 8 o'clock, and it won't be long soon before we see the summer months roll in to keep that sun out longer. So that returning sun did help us out with temperatures again today. After we saw highs in the upper 60s, we started kind of cool in the mid 40s this morning, but then we catapulted back up into the lower 70s for highs this afternoon. Thankfully, I have us staying nice and mild to wrap up the weekend, and not to mention Easter Sunday overall looking pretty good. And even with temperatures staying mild for much of the week ahead of us, I do want to keep an eye, sticking with Doug's pattern, on the system by the middle of the week. Not only could that bring a better chance for widespread rain, maybe some strong thunderstorms that we'll need to keep an eye on, but no threatening weather whatsoever outside right now. 59 in Joplin underneath clear skies, a south breeze pushing 5 to 10 miles per hour. Most of us are still trying to hold on to upper 50s, mainly in southwestern Missouri, to more lower 60s once you hop over to state line into southeast Kansas and northeastern parts of Oklahoma. In general, though, everyone's looking at a cool night, maybe upper 40s to near 50, but again, that Easter Sunday looking nice as we go back into the lower 70s to wrap up this holiday weekend. I don't have much to show you across our area, much of the Central Plains on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, at least out of first impressions. Off to the southeast of us, way to the southeast of us, quite frankly, that's high pressure is still strong enough to keep that southerly wind in place, to keep us mild as we wrap up the weekend. We want to watch this frontal system to the north. Won't do anything for the next few days, but we'll start to head our way by the middle of the week once we get this upper low near Vancouver to start heading our way. In the meantime, though, a little weak upper level wave underneath the ridge will slide to our south to maybe give us a little bit of cloud cover tomorrow. But in general, we are looking at a pretty nice Easter Sunday overall. You can see how we keep things quiet through the night, but it gets kind of cool. Most of us in the upper 40s to about 50 degrees as we start heading toward those sunrise Easter Sunday services. But a cool start at 50, catapulting to 67 by lunchtime with that south wind kicking back into gear at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And that should be able to bump highs to 73 in Joplin. But overall, let's say lower to mid 70s for our Easter Sunday. So maybe kind of a warm end to the weekend, but we'll definitely take it considering what's down the road. Nothing on Monday. We're still on the warm side of the ridge, looking mainly quiet. Then here comes that wave near Vancouver with that front running along with it. Maybe a couple storms ahead of it Tuesday, but I want to watch for better rain and thunderstorm chances on Wednesday. And some of these storms could be strong, but still not quite set in stone on the timing of these storms and what exactly we'll see out of them. But at the very least, we could get at least half an inch of rain with the system by the middle of the week, hopefully enough to wash out some of these pesky tree allergens around the area. But temperatures overall still looking okay. 73 tomorrow, 74 Monday, pushing upper 70s on Tuesday. A little cool down behind that system on Thursday, Mike, with highs near 59, but we'll bounce back to 70s no problem by next weekend.
Sounds like a plan to me. And hey, Nick, I know I have shown footage of Washington, D.C.'s famous cherry blossoms before, but they are so gorgeous, I just can't resist. Today, many people were flocking to D.C.'s tidal basin to take in all the beautiful white and pink cherry blossoms. The trees reached an early bloom last Sunday due to some unseasonably warm days. Cherry blossom season normally brings in thousands of visitors, but the National Park Service says it's monitoring the crowds to make sure people are following pandemic protocols. Last year's Cherry Blossom Festival was canceled after a state of emergency was declared in D.C. due to the COVID-19 outbreak, but it looks like it is back on in 2021. Still to come, Easter is tomorrow, and that means a lot of people will be headed to church. That's a big change from last Easter when celebrations across the globe were shut down due to COVID-19. We'll be right back. Churches across the country will be holding in-person Easter Sunday services for the first time in more than a year. The blessed event comes after a year of closures due to the coronavirus pandemic. Fox News' Lauren Green takes a look.
A ray of hope on Palm Sunday after a year of COVID shutdowns and empty pews.
May our reconciliation with you be near at hand.
As the vaccine becomes available to more Americans, Easter brings a renewed understanding of resurrection from many houses of worship.
I couldn't be more excited. Baptisms. We haven't been inside our sanctuary in over a year.
On Easter Sunday, Wildwood United Methodist Church in Florida will hold its first in-person services since the start of the pandemic. As houses of worship reopen, a new Pew survey shows 76% of churchgoers say they feel somewhat or very safe to return to in-person services. That's up from 64% last year. Still, it will be another atypical holiday season for most, as many houses of worship keep their online presence, like this virtual Passover Seder. But for Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio of the Brooklyn Diocese, that waged a legal battle against the state to hold a socially distant Mass, this Easter will be especially meaningful.
I think this Easter we'll see more people coming back to church. It's going to give the pastors and priests a boost because they haven't seen the people either, many of them.
Senior pastor Michael Beck says the last year has been like a prolonged Holy Saturday, the space of time between Jesus dying on the cross and Easter morning.
So I think when the pandemic started, we've just been in an extensive tomb time.
Boston College theologian Thomas Groom agrees.
I think the pandemic has brought a lot of us proverbially to our knees, where we had to stop and ask pretty deep, ultimate questions, like what's my life all about?
The meaning of Easter is that death does not have the final word, and the message for this Easter is that COVID doesn't either. In New York, Lauren Green, Fox News.
Still to come, how would you handle it if you were thrown out of your hotel where you paid to stay but hadn't done anything wrong? That was the case for almost 100 guests down in Florida. You'll learn exactly what was going on when we return. Nearly 100 guests at a Florida hotel got a rude awakening after being told they needed to pack their bags and leave the premises immediately. Fox News' David Bodden explains what happened.
Families are going to be out in the street. What are we supposed to do?
That is exactly what guests at Champions World Resort in Kissimmee are wondering. Andrea Sky says that she's been staying at the motel for the last week. She wrote to Fox 35 shortly after getting a call this morning from a member of their staff.
He indicated he was the general manager, that he'd been just informed that the hotel had been sold and that all staff and guests needed to vacate the property today.
Throughout the afternoon, guests packed up and headed out. Someone from the hotel was busy going door to door, checking to see if rooms were empty and that the place was all locked up. Meanwhile, many guests wonder what their next move will be. Some prepaid for their stay here and are wondering about refunds.
He said, well, we've notified the third-party agencies and they will be doing a refund.
For Victoria Oquendo and her 14 other family members, this trip was a spring break vacation that fell apart midway.
We've been here already a week. They didn't give us no notifications or anything. It was just right there and then. Get out. Yeah, that's it. Just get out.
She says her money is limited and having to wait for a refund is going to make finding a new place for her large family nearly impossible.
It's not like we can just book one room, 2 rooms. No, we need to book multiple rooms. And at this, it's spring break. Everything is super expensive.
More news out of Florida. The state's governor, Ron DeSantis, has issued a state of emergency in an area threatened by toxic material from a large wastewater reservoir. Homes and highways near the Piney Point facility in Manatee County are under evacuation orders due to an imminent collapse. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection says a break was detected Friday in one of the walls of the 77-acre pond, which contains radioactive waste. Officials are concerned that the collapse of the system could spew polluted water as well as radioactive material into the area. Right after this short break, you'll learn about one of the deadliest train crashes to take place in Taiwan in decades. And you'll also learn why authorities in Taiwan want to arrest the owner of an unmanned truck that was involved in the wreck. Details are headed your way in just 2 short minutes. An arrest warrant has been issued for a truck owner in connection with a deadly train crash in Taiwan. Meanwhile, family members are making an emotional visit to the crash site. More than 100 grieving relatives came to the city of Holian to mourn today. 50 people died and more than 175 others suffered injuries when a train hit a truck just before entering a tunnel. The impact crushed many passengers inside the mangled carriage. Government officials say the unmanned truck's emergency brake was not properly engaged when it toppled down a hillside and rolled onto the tracks. Crews are working to repair the railway as victims' belongings are removed from the crash site. This accident is the country's worst train disaster in decades. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another weather update with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. When we return, we are learning about the more than 25-year-old man who was killed Friday during his deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. That's coming up. Welcome back to your News at 9. We're learning more about the 25-year-old man who was killed Friday during his deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson has the latest.
The attack took place on Constitution Avenue at this gate right behind me. So far, security crews have been seen tweaking the fencing. The head of the Capitol Hill Police says expect no major changes.
The Capitol Police, as far as its security posture, remains in a steady state at this time. We are very thankful for our National Guard partnership. We do have National Guard on the campus, but the security posture at this time remains the same.
The suspect, 25-year-old Noah Green. He rammed his car into 2 officers and slammed into a barricade next to the Capitol. Green then got out of his car and slashed one of the officers before being shot and killed by responding police. Green was not on law enforcement's radar. It appears he was a lone wolf with no ties to terrorist or extremist groups. Facebook has deleted Green's page, but not before Fox was able to grab some screenshots. Green indicated he followed the Nation of Islam, a black nationalist movement. He recently lost his job. A few years ago, the Republican Jewish Coalition called for the resignation of several Democrats because of their alleged ties to the controversial group's leader, Louis Farrakhan, a known anti-Semite who once called Hitler a, quote, very great man. Officials here are noting the time of the grisly murder, Good Friday. Construction crews have been busy fortifying the fence around the Capitol. In recent days, the outer fencing had come down. 2,300 National Guard members continue to stand the watch after being extended 2 months. Many lawmakers object to this Guard deployment. Expect security here to be a big topic when Congress returns. A recent security report recommended the Capitol Police hire 850 more officers. But on Good Friday, 2 of those officers stood their ground, killed the suspect, but tragically not before losing one of their own. On Capitol Hill, I'm Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
The body of a fallen U.S. Capitol Police officer made its way through Washington on Friday following an attack against the Capitol. The motorcade escorting the body of Officer William Evans wound its way through the streets of D.C. en route to the medical examiner's office. Evans died and a second officer suffered injuries after being rammed by a vehicle at a police checkpoint. Evans was a member of the Capitol Police Department for 18 years. Police are investigating a deadly shooting at a house party in North Carolina. Authorities say 7 people were shot early this morning and at least 3 of them have died. As of now, there is no word on a possible motive for the violence. Police say they are looking for the person or persons responsible. They also say the public is not in any danger. At least 5 people were hurt after gunfire broke out along a popular entertainment strip in Alabama. Bullets were flying early this morning outside several bars in downtown Tuscaloosa. Police say shots were fired in the parking lot and outside of Roxy's nightclub and the Rhythm and Brews lounge. The extent of the victim's injury is not yet known. Police say several suspects are being questioned, and as of now, there's no word on a motive for the shooting. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
We're keeping the nice weather going throughout our Saturday, even though the allergies haven't been washed out yet. Hopefully rain chances by the middle of next week can address that somewhat, because certainly my allergies have been acting up a little bit. But at the very least, we enjoyed another nice looking day, some cloud cover this morning. Then we looked at generally mostly sunny skies from indigo sky and all across the area outside of Seneca, Missouri. As far as temperatures go, the sunshine certainly helped out once again, even with the good south breeze in action as well. We went from the middle to upper 60s yesterday to mid 40s this morning, and highs today back in the lower 70s. Warmer than normal, but we'll certainly take it, considering at least not too long ago we were dealing with cold weather and freezing drizzle a couple Easters ago. I thought it would be excommunicated from church with that forecast, but right now we're looking okay in Joplin, 59, south breeze at 7, with the humidity not too bad, sitting near 50%. Also around the Joplin metro, we're in the upper 50s to near 60 across the board. Same goes for much of the region in general, upper 50s to still some lower 60s before we hit the top of the 10 o'clock hour. Again, numbers climbed definitely today because of our south wind at 5 to 15, gusts pushing higher to 20 to 25 miles per hour. But now we've backed off on that south breeze. It's light, but as long as it stays in place, we're not going to get too cool tonight. We'll only drop back to about 50 degrees after we enjoy the rest of the evening, with maybe a light jacket needed if you'll be out and about. But for Easter Sunday, can't beat those numbers. Easily back into the 60s by lunchtime and lower, if not mid 70s for the afternoon tomorrow. I don't have much to show you here on the Skywise Storm Tracker, not just in our 4-state region, but across the Central Plains. Even though the surface setup has a front to our north, this is not going to do anything for us until we head into the middle of the week. In the meantime, high pressure, even though it's well over Savannah, Georgia, it's helping to continue to pump that south wind in place. That'll ensure another mild day for your Easter Sunday. And even the upper level setup helping us out too. Even with the weak wave passing just to our south, that might bring in a little more cloud cover tomorrow under otherwise a nice mild Easter Sunday. Then this upper low near Vancouver, that's what's going to send the front our way, and that's what will give us ultimately better rain and even thunderstorm chances by the middle of next week. In general, though, nothing to worry about for the rest of the night. We keep things quiet, maybe a little bit on the cool side with everybody dropping back, let's say upper 40s to about 50 degrees, especially in Joplin. But the same conditions, the light breeze and the mostly sunny skies, that's going to change up a little bit. That south wind kicking into gear at 10 to 20 pushes us to 67 by lunchtime and highs here 73 in Joplin. But no matter where you are for your Easter Sunday, we'll say partly to mostly sunny and kind of warm with highs almost pushing into the mid 70s. So we're looking at a pretty good Easter Sunday this time around for 2021. I'm keeping us quiet for Monday though, even though we're starting to keep a closer eye on that next system ready to roll on in. It might give us a few thunderstorms on Tuesday, but I'm seeing the better shot for thunderstorms, maybe some strong storms Wednesday morning and maybe another round for Wednesday afternoon. But for the backside of this gives us a little bit of rain on Thursday. Hopefully by the time those rain chances get in here, hopefully that washes some of the allergies out. As far as temperatures go, let's go 73 tomorrow, 74 Monday, a quick jump to the upper 70s on Tuesday. Then we're going to cool down a little bit just for a few days on the backside of the system, Mike. But then back to the 70s we go for next weekend.
All right, sounds good, Nick. And hey, Nick, check this out. This is a crazy story I want to show you before we hand things over to Danny. A parade full of masks and noise in the Czech Republic aims to drive out evil as Easter Sunday approaches. Masked marchers strolled through a Czech town on Good Friday, making noise with rattles, drums, and horns. It was all in an attempt to create noise that symbolically drives evil away. The event was canceled last year because of the coronavirus pandemic, but local authorities said the tradition could return this year on the condition that participants keep 6 feet apart and wear face coverings. And I see they chose face coverings that will give me nightmares. Boy, if I showed up in that town and I didn't know what was going on, I would think I was in a horror movie. All right, looks fun though. All right, get pumped, sports fans. You are just 2 minutes away from Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report. That's next.
Missouri Southern is back on the field today looking for revenge against Central Missouri. The Mules took Game 1 of the 3-game series in a 5-2 pitchers duel on Friday. The top 10 matchup continues with a doubleheader. In Game 1, a jam-packed third inning, Cole Taylor sends this one over the back fence. Back-to-back 2-run home runs for the Mules. Missouri Southern has a response with 2 outs and a man on. Joe Kinder hits a bomb deep center, his 7th of the season. Lions take an 8-6 lead in the 3rd. Later, Matt Miller. This will be a base knock. Henry Kuziak in for the score. It's 11-9 Lions. Central Missouri, though, keeps the pressure. 9 home runs in the game. Lions fall 17-12. In Game 2, Mules stay hot. Missouri Southern goes down 22-10. Jordan Fitzpatrick drives in 5 runs. The Lions move to 18-6 on the season and 12-6 in the conference. Pitt State also playing a doubleheader today to finish off a road series with Rogers State. PSU won Friday's game 3-1. In Game 1 today, Gorillas win by a score of 4-3 after being down for much of the game. Garrett McGowan scores the game-winning run in the 9th off a sac fly. Pitt State completes the series sweep. Game 2 goes 2-0. The Gorillas get runs by Ryan Koval and Grayson Pinkett. PSU played a much abbreviated schedule last fall, just 4 games. Now they've been about to follow their schedule just as they intended. The Gorillas suited up in the crimson and gold to play a live game action and in front of some fans. In the spring game, offense versus defense, the throw here to a sea of crimson. Frontenac alum Brandon Malikas gets the pick. Then offense on the goal line, finding Jalen Martin for 6. That's the offense's first touchdown of the day. Driving down the field again, Matt Harmon hauls it towards the end zone. Safety Jared Flood comes away with it. The defense finishes with 3 interceptions. They'll win at 58-51 using the Jersey scrimmage scoring system.
Great to see the defense create some turnovers, and on the flip side of that, you don't like seeing the offense turn it over on a day like today, but I loved our energy, and I just love how our guys come out and compete every day. It's a fun group to be around, and a group of guys that just love football and love each other.
The junior college football season kicked off last weekend. NEO lost their home opener to Trinity Valley 29-10. The Norsemen have a chance to bounce back today as they play host to Kilgore. NEO looking for their first win of the season and first win under head coach Zach Crissup. Kilgore strikes first. Chance Amy calls his own number. He takes it into the end zone. Rangers lead 7-0 early. Second quarter, Kilgore ball. Garrison Johnson pushes through the line. He shakes off the defender for the touchdown, makes it 14 unanswered. Norsemen responding. Marcus Morris finds the end zone for the first NEO touchdown. To the third, Billy Maples airs it out deep to Elijah Smoot. He comes down with it, but NEO can't get the pat. That keeps the Norsemen from their first win. They drop this one 14-13.
It's not about the 75 plays that you take and you do exactly everything right. It's the 1 or 2 that you don't think matters ends up being the ones that matter. And we're just so close, and it eats at your heart and it eats at your gut. But we're close, and I don't want to be close anymore. I don't play horseshoes.
Around the area, Fort Scott traveling to Garden City today. The Greyhounds take a tough 76-9 loss. Reese Thomas had Fort Scott's only touchdown, 39-yard reception. The Greyhounds fall to 0-2 to open up the season. Coffeyville also on the road against Dodge City. The Red Ravens pick up their first win of the season, beating the Conquistadors 38-10. Redshirt freshman Taven Jackson had 2 defensive touchdowns, one off an interception, the other from recovering a blocked field goal attempt. That's a look at sports. We'll be back with more news after this.
Welcome back to your News at 9. A New York City comedy club got a big-time headliner for its first night open in more than a year. Native New Yorker and iconic comedian Jerry Seinfeld hopes to give live venues the shot in the arm they need to make it through the pandemic. Fox News' Briella Tomasetti has that story.
It felt like getting electrocuted in a good way. The audience was great, and I was actually feeling like, can I still do this? You know, I don't know if you wonder if you remember. It's like not playing tennis for a year. And so as soon as I got up, the audience exploded, and I just felt so at home. And I mean, I love this club, and I love performing in New York. So I didn't want to get emotional, but I'm really excited to be helping to bring it back.
Yes, believe it or not, even Jerry Seinfeld still gets the pre-performance jitters. The New York born and bred sitcom legend headlined a sold-out show in Chelsea on Friday. The very first night Gotham Comedy Club has opened its doors in over a year.
He just called and said, I want to come down tonight. And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And then he tweeted it out, and here we are. It's a nice thing. He's been a great friend to the club.
And so the show will finally go on at Gotham 7 nights a week, except at 33% capacity with about 100 audience members at most.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm ordering like 10 rounds of drinks for everyone. Yeah.
The other 2/3 of the comedy club's tables and chairs will remain empty, at least for the time being. It's a formula that doesn't work for everyone.
We can't make it work financially at 33%.
Nevertheless, live venues and performers are still powering their way through the pandemic and adjusting to the changes brought on by COVID-19. As for what the future holds, well, perhaps Seinfeld said it best.
Oh, New York is going to come back. I've been in LA, I've been in Florida, and you know, there's a lot of great places in this country, but no place feels like this place.
Grammy-nominated rapper DMX is hospitalized and reportedly in grave condition after suffering a heart attack on Friday. Media reports say a drug overdose triggered the cardiac arrest. DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, is in the critical care unit of a hospital in White Plains, New York. The 50-year-old rapper has been open about his struggles with drug addiction and has said he's undergone drug rehabilitation several times. The husband of actress Lori Loughlin, Massimo Giannulli, is out of prison but not a free man yet. Giannulli has been released from the federal prison near Santa Barbara, California, where he served 5 months for his role in the nationwide college admissions cheating scandal. Online prison records indicate the 57-year-old designer has been transferred to a halfway house in Long Beach, California. Last May, Massimo and his wife admitted they paid $500,000 in bribes to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California as crew recruits, even though neither girl was a rower. We're not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we are taking a trip to Nambia and learning how the coronavirus pandemic is increasing the chances of a black rhino getting poached. That story and more are next. Bunnies, chicks, and ducklings may seem like a cute surprise for the kids on Easter, but after the holiday is over, many of those animals end up abandoned as the novelty wears off. Fox News' Dana Arshan speaks with a rescue group that is urging people to think twice before giving animals as an Easter gift.
There's no denying these guys are too cute not to love and cuddle, but John D. Leonardo, president of Long Island Orchestrating for Nature, or Lion for short, warns his fellow Long Islanders not to buy animals as Easter props if you can't properly take care of them.
Unfortunately, lots of people will buy ducklings, bunnies, or chicks and use them for photo props for Easter, or use them just as gifts for their grandkids, like Giancarlo did. But they very quickly realized that these ducklings are a lot more than they signed up for.
Giancarlo Mazzanti is a grandfather from Hewlett who wanted to surprise his 3 grandkids with baby ducklings for Easter.
I bought them and took them home, but it was a lot before Easter. So I kept them in the bathtub in my house for about 2.5 weeks. And then I just couldn't take care of them anymore.
He says he was cleaning his tub twice a day and feeding the ducklings nonstop. Giancarlo reached out to several organizations for help and says Lion was the only one to get back to him and adopt the 2 ducks.
Animals are individuals. They're not Easter props. They're not trash to be discarded when you don't have time for them anymore. I mean, ducklings are a 10-plus year commitment. So unless you're ready for that, unless you're coded for that, get your kid a stuffed animal instead.
A few months after Easter last year, Lion rescued more than 100 ducks like this one just right here in the township of Hempstead. The organization hopes it won't have to do a similar rescue this year.
An endangered species in Nambia becomes ripe for illegal poaching during the coronavirus pandemic. Animal rights activists say rhino slaughtering could dramatically rise again as the coronavirus continues to halt the travel industry, an important income for anti-poaching farms and organizations. Nambia is home to the majority of black rhinos, and their horns can be sold for millions of dollars on the black market. One conservationist says the illegal value of a rhino horn is about $240,000 for a 9-pound horn. The horns have no protein or healing value, but some cultures see the horns as a symbol of wealth. Some more sad news to report. The New York giraffe, whose pregnancy went viral, has died. Animal Adventure Park in Harpersville, New York announced that April the giraffe had to be euthanized. They say the giraffe was suffering from declining health due to arthritis and made the decision to put her down following recommendations from her veterinary team. April became a household name in 2017 as fans watched her give birth via a YouTube live stream. On their Facebook page, the park said, quote, "We grieve with her many fans near and far as we say goodbye to the giraffe that can be credited with making a foothold for giraffe and giraffe conservation awareness in the 21st century. April the giraffe was 20 years old. Police in Australia had a bit of fun this April Fool's Day when they claimed wiener dogs would be joining the force. Check out this video they made about their new sausage unit.
As you know, the dog operations unit, we've used Labradors and Shepherds for many years quite successfully, but we've always felt there's been a bit of a gap in our capabilities, so we're really enthusiastic about announcing this new squad, the small area urban search and guided evacuation dogs. And what this is going to do is really be able to give us a new element of what we can offer up the South Australian community. So it's been really hard work lifting those 40-kilo Shepherds, especially above your head into ceiling spaces and things like that. Because of the size of these guys, we can chuck them into ceilings, up on top of cupboards, let them have a good look around there. Not only that, because they're obviously a little bit challenged vertically, we can chuck them under cars, under covers and things like that. We're also going to be able to attach them to drones, which is, that's really a game changer for us. They're going to be able to be tactically deployed from that, drop down into people's yards and things like that. We're really excited about it and we think it's going to be an absolute game changer.
I wish those were real police dogs. Too cute. All right, well, thanks so much for spending some of your Saturday night with us. We'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night, and of course, stay safe out there.